I can still hear it. The crack of glass, the sudden silence, the warm rush as blood pooled beneath me. They said I slept. They said it was an accident. But I remember her face. My sister's hand still on the doorknob, her eyes wide, her lips trembling between shock and something darker. And when I woke up in that hospital bed, bandages tight around my skull, I expected tears, concern, a family grieving almost loss. Instead, I opened my eyes and saw fear. Not fear for me, fear of me. And then my mother leaned close, her voice a breath against my ear. Completely still. Don't say a word. We'll handle this. That was the moment I understood. I wasn't the victim. I was the threat. It wasn't always like this. As kids, my sister and I were inseparable. She was older, louder, always the center of attention. I was the quiet shadow at her side. She called it love, but even then, love felt a lot like ownership. She'd snatch credit for my work, twist my mistakes into her entertainment, always with a smile that kept the adults blind. And when I protested, she'd whisper, "If you tell, no one will believe you." I believed her for years. But the accident, cracked more than glass. It split open every lie. In the weeks after, whispers moved through the house like smoke. Late-night arguments cut off when I entered the room. My father's eyes wouldn't meet mine. My mother hovered, not with love, but with watchfulness. And my sister, she avoided me completely. I started listening more carefully. I caught fragments. What if she remembers? It was too far, even for her. If she talks, everything unravels. It didn't take long to stitch the pieces together. That door wasn't slammed in anger. It was slammed in calculation. My sister hadn't wanted to scare me. She'd wanted to silence me, for good. And my parents knew. The night it clicked, I sat awake in the dark, bandages itching, my body weak but my mind sharper than it had ever been. I realized something vital. They didn't see me as broken. They saw me as dangerous. And they were right. Because from that moment on, I stopped being their victim. I became their reckoning. Revenge requires patience. I didn't confront. I didn't accuse. I healed quietly, stayed small, played weak. I let them believe the injury dulled me. I let my sister believe I remembered nothing. Meanwhile, I collected. Whispers recorded on my phone, documents copied from drawers, my father's financial frauds, my mother's secret credit lines, my sister's trail of lies she left on her work laptop. Each piece stacked neatly in a folder, each secret a nail for their coffins. But evidence wasn't enough. Timing mattered. So I waited. It came 6 months later at a family dinner. My sister had just announced her promotion, smug and glowing. My parents beamed, as though nothing had ever cracked between us. And then she looked at me, that same old smirk tugging her lips, and said, "Some people just aren't cut out for more, you know?" The table chuckled. I smiled. And then I placed the folder on the tablecloth. At first, they didn't understand. Pages slid free, bank statements, emails, transcripts of whispered conversations. My father's hand trembled as he read the proof of his embezzlement. My mother's face drained at the credit cards she'd hidden from him. But it was my sister who broke first. Because in the center of that folder sat the hospital report. Glass shards, angle of impact, medical notes that didn't match an accident. And a recording. Her voice sharp in the night. If she talks, it's over for all of us. The blood drained from her face. She looked at me like she had in that first moment after the door slammed, wide-eyed, lips trembling, caught between fear and guilt. Only now she knew the truth. I remembered everything. The fallout wasn't dramatic, it was surgical. My father's company folded under investigation. My mother's secret debts unraveled. My sister's job crumbled the moment the recording surfaced. One by one, their masks slipped. Their reputations bled out. And me? I never raised my voice, never begged for justice. I simply opened the folder and let the truth devour them. Sometimes I replay that night in the hospital. The moment my mother leaned close and whispered, "Completely still, don't say a word." She thought she was protecting my sister, protecting their fragile little empire of lies. But really, she was giving me my strategy. Stay still, wait, let them think they've won, and then strike so precisely they never see it coming. I don't live in fear anymore. I don't live in their shadow. I live with silence, the same silence that followed when I slid that folder across the table. And in that silence, I found my power. Because sometimes revenge isn't fire and fury. Sometimes it's a whisper, spoken at the exact moment the world is listening. And I made sure they would never stop hearing mine.